Alrighty, this is G. Welcome back. The relationship to Pluto and Aquarius to the Scorpio area of your life and to the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo. We're going to talk about the conversations, the communications, how's it going to feel, what's it going to look like, what we can expect. Is it stress and tension? Is it ease? Let's find out. So for Scorpio, Pluto and Aquarius, you know what that is, right? That's a square. It angles up as a frickin' square. It just is. My square looks a little weird. How do we do that? How about that square? Anyway, it's a 90-degree angle, right? Square, stress and tension is what it means. So Aquarius energy, what house is it in for you? Okay. Pluto in Aquarius is powerful. It adds power to individuals. It adds power to groups. It adds power to people who are unique and different and unique, something unconventional. While it's adding power to that, because it's Pluto and it drills down, it can also show us something that was buried. Now, Aquarius energy is group energy. It can be your friends. Who do you hang out with? Who do you consider a friend? And they don't even have to be like your best friends, like because it's Aquarius. So these can be people where you guys have similar social causes that you're passionate about, right? There can be lots of different examples. Some people, it's politics, because politics affects how it affects our lives, right? And so many times when people have Aquarius energy, when it starts getting activated, when a new planet comes in or whatnot, it will get you to pay attention because it leaves impressions. It puts an influence on us. And so Aquarius is the intellect. It's like our organized intellect, but it's the ideals of that intellect, the ideas and the ideals. So it can be quite lofty. And we think of science and space and technology and inventions when we think about that. And so the Pluto stuff going through and changing and transforming our friends, our social circles, what we do on the internet, who we do it with on the internet. That sounded wrong. But do you know what I'm saying? Like when we go into the chats, right? When we're online watching a video and there's a bunch of us talking or whatever, or in the comment section, there's a mass communication going on, right? And that brings me to the level of thought, the ideas within a social structure or within civilizations and societies even. There's this old mentality because it was Aquarian energy. And Aquarian energy is supposed to push us beyond the norm. It is supposed to say, hey, this isn't going to be like the typical square box cutter type of energy. Box cutter. That's a tool that you cut open a box with. This is going to be like you've got a chance to make a cookie, but you get to create the shape of the cookie. We're not using the cookie cutters that we always used to use, that we were handed down from grandma. No, we're actually putting those on the shelf and we're coming up with our own shapes even. Like that's Aquarius energy, creating something really unique. Remember, this is where the inventors live and the science and the technology. This is how we got airplanes. This is how we got the mass transportation. This is how we've come up with devices and gadgets and the internet itself. So we think of medicine and the scientists and the research and development and the experiments. Experimental energy is Aquarius. So there's a certain amount of detachment involved with Aquarius energy because of the scientific mind, because of the ability to not be attached to a result. That's what I always drew me in with science. Was I was seeking for the truth or what we can comprehend to be the closest thing that we can put our mind around as the truth as human beings. And the fact that we would test it. We wouldn't sit there and come straight out and say, this is this because I think so, or because I feel a certain kind of way. No, it had to go through a series of tests over a certain amount of time. And then it had to be like peer reviewed. Like there's just certain scientific like rules and laws that are there. It goes through all these trials, right? All these series of stress and tension before we can come out to be like, well, here's the result. And even with those results in those tests, there's always a certain percentage that we that kind of like went beyond the norm. When you read the bottle on the medicine and it's just like, if you take this, there is a percentage of you, and it might be, 1 in 657 million or something, that may have this adverse effect. Because even though we've done the testing, science always, 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 that was the number one rule of science. There's always an exception to the rule. That's like rule number one. So you got all these rules, but yet there's there's an outlier there where the rules don't apply. And it's like, what? And it's because there's that element of life, that divine spark element, which is also Aquarius energy, that there's no explanation, no understanding, where in our minds as humans, we're like, it's otherworldly, it's godlike, it's, I can't explain it, right? Aquarius energy. So we think space and extraterrestrials, right? We think of traveling through space, not just in airplanes from state to state or country to country. Yeah, we think of we're going into a different hemisphere type of thing with Aquarius energy. Now, what the hell does this have to do with the Scorpio stuff? Well, it's the stress and the tension, bottom line. Stress and tension. So the angle will test Scorpio. It will test your shared values. It will test the history and the past. It will test your shared bonds. It may test shared finances. It may test insurance companies for sure. We think about, all the different natural disasters. Absolutely, because it's Pluto in Aquarius, which is air, squaring water energy. One of the things I love about this as I'm looking at it, because it is stress and tension, and normally we don't think, oh, I love this because it's a square. You don't normally hear people saying that. But the square means I have to work really hard at it, and just have to keep working at it. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be hurdles. There's going to be failures. There's going to be doors slammed. There's going to be no, you're denied. Like that's part of the square. It does not easily happen. That's the square. And the teaching in astrology it is through your squares where you experience growth. You don't experience growth when shit just easily happens because you didn't have to do jack for it to occur. You follow? It just kind of happened. But the squares is where we build character. It's where we build character. You follow? And in light of the world and in light of it seems like the wealthy, the rich, and how somehow, some way, it's really kind of become the world has become, I don't know, maybe it's been like this for eons, but it seems like the world has become more conforming to their desire and to their every whim in a way that it never did before because of the Aquarius energy, because of their ability, my ability, your ability to travel further than ever before and to do things we were never able to do before because of technology. So the Aquarius and the Pluto being there will challenge our shared values. And in light of AI and in light of, people of power with sick money and who have control over space and the internet and satellites, like there's some concern. I have serious concerns for real. So I feel like they're absolute, like this is needed. I actually see this as a good thing. Right. Who would have known? Let's be clear about this. It's Pluto in Aquarius, and Pluto's, it's not exalted in Aquarius. It's not its superpower. Its superpower, Pluto does really good in Scorpio because it's the ruler of Scorpio. So in essence, this is like Pluto against Pluto. It's like Pluto squaring Pluto. You follow? So it's a battle that is a battle between people of power, in essence. Power, shared values, and power, new and different, and technology. So it's like history in the old, Pluto and Scorpio, Scorpio energy, old money, and the Pluto in Aquarius, which is like it's never been done before, right? This is different. This is a new path forward. This is alternative forms of energy, right? Absolutely. Where this is like oil, you know, this is oil and coal. That's what this Pluto and Scorpio is. So there's this battle going on. And that to me is, well, square stress and tension. So when you look at that area of your chart, you're seeing and feeling that stress and tension and the revelations, because Pluto will show what's been buried deep in the Scorpio energy in our chart. This is where we have these old wounds and vulnerabilities. Okay. So we're not going to probably be real thrilled with what's come into our consciousness. But if it's been buried deep, it was the cause, and likely some tragic shit caused trauma. And there's an energetic wound still there. And we cannot heal it until we see it. And it's not going to be pretty. I can't sugarcoat it. It's not going to be pretty, right? But it doesn't mean it's the end of your life. It just means this is a thing we got to go through. We all have Scorpio in our chart. So it's a thing we got to go through. And eventually, kind of heal it. And that's the promise of Scorpio energy. There's that trauma, but then we heal. We accept, we heal, and we move on and we fly. We get those wings and we're free. And that's the thing. As long as that thing's buried and unseen and hidden, just because it's unseen doesn't mean that wound isn't there. But once it comes to the light, once the light shines on it and we can see it, well, then we can start the process. We can start the process of processing, literally analyzing, looking at it, labeling it, and being like, this is this, and this is why this, and that's where that came from, and all the ahas and the conscious raising stuff from the Aquarius Pluto, you see? So overall, the detachment from the wounds from the past is the promise of the Pluto Aquarius squaring Pluto and Scorpio. The detachment from the old and from the past and those hurts and the old values, and a release, because we can detach now. We can say, yeah, I used to be that way. Yeah, that was mine. I'm not owning that anymore, though. I'm moving on, because that was really a ball and chain for me. I just didn't know it because the shit was buried. It was a ball and chain in the ground attached to my ankle. I did not even know it was there. Once we see it and we release it, and that takes time, that's not just like it's done, then we have the wings and we are the phoenix rising, and that's us flying off into the sunset there. So, because it's the north node in water that trines Scorpio energy, it's a ease. So it's the ease, like I don't have to do a whole lot. Scorpio can be peace and surrender and acceptance and forgiveness. So you have the possibility to truly do some major healing here. Major healing. Talking about this, I am so strongly impressed with the United States. I know there are places all around the world. There's a lot of old wounds and old scars. And the Scorpio energy and the old money, you think sugar and cotton, and now it's oil or coal and then oil. And we think about all that old wealth. I refuse to let this go. I refuse to move on to a new commodity, right? Because slavery was connected to this, and a way of life and a way of being, and my very essence of existence. I just feel like I'm being inundated with the past, and the Civil War energies are like strong. And what we're going through now is the residual energy from the result of that war and from the loss and the grieving process. Yeah, I definitely don't think what we're going through now is just what we're going through now. I think there's a shitload of Scorpio and history involved with this. So, yeah, the Pisces, the Neptune trine, and the ease of the water, and the acceptance and the surrender, and eventually the healing and forgiveness, the Pisces can provide ease in that, where it can easily create the possibility to happen. And when things get a little too difficult with the square and the stress and the tension, it's the Pisces water that can come in and provide a means of escape, a means. And it doesn't mean we have to do drugs, although for some folks, they might take that route. Doesn't have to mean we do alcohol, but for some folks, they might find a way to create that they never did before. They might find a way of escape by either reading something, reading a book, writing a book, right? Creating music and sound and theater. Take all the Pisces keywords and just like, what are your dreams, right? Your daydreams, your fantasy. Um, Meditations are big with Pisces energy. Meditations, images and nature are very big with Pisces energy, is nature. It is a way that we're connected to the earth, yet it's, when we look at the sunset, right? When we look at the ocean and how vast it is, there's something there that we know is bigger than us, and something bigger than us created that. And yet there's this divine thread, this circle of life that connects us all together. And it's 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 amazing. And it almost leaves us speechless because we it's an answer we don't have. We don't have, like, okay, what is that? Who created that? I want to see how that happened. We have theories. We have theories of how this all came to be, and we have mythology and creation stories, whether they're from sacred text or whatnot. But the point is that the Pisces can give us a mode and a place where we can find peace and surrender when we're in the stress and the tension. It can dissolve our ego. There can be some of this stuff that's from the past, again, that comes up, but healing and healing institutions. Of course, we think about actors and actresses, and so music and movies and the strong impressions that Pisces energy gives us. So we got to be cautious about the escapism and the martyrdom type of feeling and feeling sorry for myself, because the Neptune and Pisces stuff, right? The North Node, I'll keep saying Neptune, the North Node in Pisces increases the ability for feeling sorry for myself. It increases my sensitivities. It increases all the Pisces keywords, all of them, the ones that are good and the ones that we view as not so good. Okay. So addictions and substances, for some folks, they have to find a healthy outlet. A lot of people have told me in this past year so far that and then a lot of people, that when Saturn did a retrograde in Pisces, that's when they got sober. A lot of people have told me this. So with that said, North Node in Pisces, for some of you, it could bring some of those tendencies back. The thing is, don't let it do it to you. Just because it's the North Node, it doesn't mean you have to succumb to a not so good habit. Instead, when the North Node comes, find a healthy outlet. You see, it's to give you an opportunity to explore and to find other avenues in which you can feel at peace, in which you can rest and sleep, even, right? But in that rest and that sleep, we're getting respite and we feel like we're relaxing, right? Because it gave us an outlet and a way to escape the harsh realities of the world. So find some healthy ways to escape and to unplug and detach with the support, with the Scorpio era in your life, with the support coming in from the Pisces, soft and sensitive creative energy. There can be moments where the confusion rides a little bit higher, but use that to create. Be dreamy and fantastical, right? That's what you use that for, right? Always check in with the Virgo part, which will keep you grounded, because Virgo is very earthy and practical and tangible. And Virgo brings the receipts. So when you feel like the North Node in Pisces is kicking in strong and hard because it's a trine, trines just make something easily occur. Let your Virgo power kick in. Go to your Virgo superpower because it's going to be the South Node in Virgo. So with the South Node in Virgo, that angle for the Scorpio is a sextile. It's 60 degrees away, which means it can bring support. I can bring the receipts. I can look at it. I can write it down. I can see it. Can I connect the dots, and is it logical? That's where you can prevent the trine energy of Pisces from taking you to an illogical, delusional, fantastical, sci-fi reality. Like that's just for make-believe in movies, right? But when we fold it into our real world and we think it's our reality, right? Think about this. We all have Pisces and Neptune somewhere. So we can all relate to this. We can all be like, "Oh my God, I remember that time when I thought this and this way about this or that person or whatever it was." And now that I'm older and there's been some time, I can look back and I'm like, I was out of my goddamn mind. Like, what the hell was I thinking? You see what I'm saying? So use your Virgo energy, use the details and the data and to see, does this shit logically add up? Right? Because Virgo connects the dots and that's the mind energy. And it will support the Scorpio area in your life. All right. So we're all done with this one for right now. We're going to move on to Saggy. That's going to be video number 9 in this series. So that will explain the Sagittarius area in your chart, and I'll see you there.